there, and welcome to Follow Me to the Magic. My name is Adrienne, and I'm a Disney adult. So today we're going to talk about how that even happened, especially a little bit later in life. Haven't always been a Disney adult, nor was I a Disney child, in the sense of being solely all about Disney. As with any kid, I loved it. And my aunt took us on our first trip when I was, I think, in elementary school. Loved everything about it. I can still remember the last night we were leaving Magic Kingdom. She let us take the ferry because we'd done the monorail every other time. So we did the ferry boat and we were leaving, Magic Kingdom's being left behind, and tears, y'all. Alligator tears rolling down my face, waving, hoping that I'd see Mickey and Minnie again one day. Now, between then and now, I had been a couple times one-day trips to Magic Kingdom here and there for various reasons, and then a trip to Epcot in 2016, which was the last trip that I had taken with a couple girlfriends of mine, and we got to drink around the world, so that was a really good time, but hadn't been there since until last year. So in February 2023, my family, very small family, took my niece, who was 12 at the time, for her first trip to Disney World. Now, come to find out after we got there that my brother was his first trip since we were wee little. My sister-in-law had never been to World. She'd been to Land, but never been to World. And then my parents, I believe they said they had been somewhere in their early marriage, but it's not their favorite thing, being around, thousands of their closest friends. So they did it basically so that we could all be together and to have a good time with family and to be there for my niece, their only granddaughter. So we go. We're there in February. We're staying at Animal Kingdom at Kidani Village. We did a 2-bedroom villa, which was amazing. It worked perfectly for us. The best part, 3 full bathrooms. So if you have a lot of adults, which we had 5 adults and 1 child, it made all the difference in the world. So highly recommend. It's a great place. I know people feel like it's a little bit further away from the parks. It really isn't. And it worked out very well. So anyway, we didn't even get to see much of the resort, to be honest. We were rope dropping every morning and we were staying till well after dinner at night. It was a great place for us to lay our head. We were there Monday through Friday. We did all 4 parks, just 1 park per day, and then Disney Springs and Chef Mickey's on our last day. We did a couple other character meals and all the meet and greets and all the rides. Y'all, we packed a bunch into a very short period of time. So we wrap up and we head home. Now, one thing I will say while we were there, and I think this is what brought on the whole love for Disney again, is the escape. That whole week, I didn't think about work. I didn't think about what was going on at home. It was just Disney, my family, and all my brand new friends, i.e. the characters in the parks. Loved it. That, I think, is what really helped, was having that escape. That reality was somewhere else, and you just got to be in this land with all the characters who you loved, whether they've been around since you were young or some of these newer characters. It's just such an amazing time. So get home. Disney blues hit hard. Y'all, they hit hard. And I think after having such a great week and then going back to reality, it was like, oh man. So what do you do when that happens? You book another trip, right? That's exactly what I did. So about 8 weeks after that trip, I booked my first solo trip to Disney. Quick trip, in and out, flew in really early one morning, was flying out the next night. flight got canceled, so it got a little bit longer, but by one day, and I didn't even get to enjoy more of Disney, but it still made the trip. Even though we all hate having flights canceled, especially in today's time frame, but y'all, it really did not interrupt the magic I felt. So that first night I did Hollywood Studios after hours event. Absolutely worth it. Rode Rise of the Resistance, I think 3 times. I mean, 3 times, y'all. There was no line. Nobody was there. So the park is open. It's not crowded. You can walk on practically every ride. Some of the shows, not every single ride we're going, but you still got a good portion of the park to enjoy. So did that Wednesday night. Thursday was Epcot Flower and Garden all day, which we all know how beautiful that is. So such a great trip. That was the first of what was to come, about 5 more solo trips from April to this past July. So after that trip, I ended up going back in November for about 4 or 5 nights, again by myself. I did Mickey's Very Merry Christmas. I did the first night of Jollywood Nights. Just enjoyed myself. Had a blast. I stayed at Coronado Springs for the first several nights, and then I switched to Caribbean Beach Resort on my last night. Just wanted to experience the different resorts. And the Skyliner has turned into my favorite mode of transportation. So any way I can get on a Skyliner resort, that's what I try to do. So before that trip though, I had already purchased the 2 after-hour special event tickets. I was going to buy a couple other park tickets to go during the day. And at this point, I think I already had my trip in February. It was either already booked or about to be. And so when I took all the days and basically all the expenses of those 2 trips and compared that to an annual pass holder, it just made sense to do the annual pass. So before that November trip, that's what I did. I bought the annual pass and I activated it during that trip, and I have more than paid for that annual pass by the amount of visits I've done. So in my eyes, it's absolutely worth it, and I will get at least 2 more trips out of it before it expires. So, and it's not going to expire because I'm just going to renew it. Anyway, so I do that trip, had a blast. Just was all over the place. I went to all the parks, hit all 4 of them. I did the after-hour events. It was just such a great time. Well, as you do, you continue to look at flights. And that's pretty much how I choose a lot of the times, especially some of these little quick weekend trips. If I can get a really good deal, I book the airline ticket and then figure out the rest later. So I found a deal the middle of December and booked it. I arrived super early Saturday morning and was flying out Sunday evening. Well, that trip I stayed at Port Orleans Riverside in one of the Princess and the Frog / Tiana rooms. Gorgeous, by the way. So if someone is a huge fan of Tiana, you've got to visit those rooms and stay there at least once. The headboards themselves are so magical. But did that, and of course Saturday was the day that Florida, practically the entire state, was encompassed by a mild tropical storm that came through. So it rained all day long, literally all day long. So about 3/4 of the way through, I went back to the resort, dried off, literally took a hairdryer, dried everything, shoes, everything, went back. And by this point, all the booths were closed. There's not many people in the park, but I still walked around and enjoyed myself. Went to dinner at the Rose and Crown. That was enjoyable. And then saw my first showing of Luminous, The Story of Us, which one of my favorite. So did that. Next day, gorgeous. Sun's out, skies are blue. Absolutely 2 separate, amazingly different days. So I didn't plan on going to the park that day because I wanted to see some of the Christmas decor at the resorts. So I went to the beach club, the boardwalk, and the yacht club and did those 3 saw the gingerbread houses and the Christmas trees just went and toured the lobbies. And they're just beautiful at Christmas time. Not that they're not beautiful any other time, because they absolutely are. But just, it's amazing how magical it is stepped up by with the Christmas stuff. So that was my trip in December. So then we go to February. Now we're in February of 2024, a full year after that first trip. And since then, this is now my this is my fourth trip since that first trip in February of 2023. This trip in February 2024, I was originally supposed to run the Princess Half. Well, your girl never got her butt moving. Didn't happen. So I opted not to run so that I could actually enjoy my time at Disney World. I didn't want to try to do it and then not be able to enjoy myself the rest of the time because I was sore or I hurt something. So I chose not to do it. Had a great time doing just a regular vacation. It was absolutely amazing. I was there from Friday through Wednesday. I got to spend a whole day with a couple of my girlfriends that live in Florida. We did a little, what do you want to call it, monorail crawl, well, plus wilderness. So we started at Geyser Point at Wilderness Lodge, had lunch and a drink. Then we tried to go to Trader Sam's, already booked up, as you can imagine. And so we went upstairs to Tambu and had a drink there. But then we took it outside and sat in Adirondack chairs on the beach. And it was beautiful. The weather was gorgeous. The sun was out. You really couldn't ask for a better day. And then from there, we went to the Enchanted Rose at the Grand Floridian and had a beverage there. It was just an amazing day. One of the girlfriends that lives in South Florida got to spend the night and stay through the morning. And then I enjoyed the rest of my trip by myself. The last day of my trip was the first day of Flower and Garden. So I got to see that again. And that, as we all know, is beautiful. And there were some awesome new displays, Groot being one of them. That was phenomenal. And then they brought back the Muppets, and I absolutely love that because I was a huge Muppets fan when I was growing up. So did that. And then, I was looking at flights. So in April again, I found another inexpensive flight, came for another weekend. This time I stayed at the Beach Club. And that was a really enjoyable visit. It was slightly relaxing, slightly doing. The resort is gorgeous. I got to have a relaxing morning, sit out on the patio with my coffee. It was awesome. Absolutely loved it. That trip also had some big bucket list items were hit. I was able to do Space 220. That was enjoyable. And then California Grill did that as well. And y'all, let me tell you about the braised beef short rib wontons. You got that? Braised beef short rib wontons. They're an appetizer you can get at the bar. I know they're not on the dinner menu. I'm not sure if you can ask for them or not, but y'all, they are amazing. Absolutely amazing. And so did that, had a drink, left, went and had another drink with some people that I met. The Disney adults, we got to stick together. So we left and went and had a drink somewhere else. And then we were able to come back because my flight was not till close to midnight. I was able to go back to the California Grill and watch Happily Ever After from the deck of California Grill. And that's an amazing sight. They pump the sound in so you get the full show music-wise, and then just watch the whole aerial display happen from the deck. It's amazing. I don't recommend it if you have never seen Happily Ever After in the park. You have to see it in the park first. And so that way you can see all the projections up and down Main Street. You can see them on the castle. You've got to do that first. But after you've done that, try to do California Grill. I did Sweets and Seats at my February trip, and that was nice as well. but you've got to see it in the park before you see it these other locations, because the viewing is just very different. It's very enjoyable, but it's different. So that was in April. That was a great trip and absolutely enjoyed it. Well, this past July, around 4th of July, I went for another short trip before work was going to get a little crazy for me. So went for about 4 nights. I stayed 2 nights at Pop Century and 2 nights at the Boardwalk, which absolutely love that resort. That might have pushed the beach club a little bit to the side for me, because it's just everything about it. The theming for those resorts in the non-traditional Mickey Mouse way, but in a very themed to what it's styled after. They hit the nail on the head. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I did July 3rd, I went to Magic Kingdom for their fireworks, and on July 4th, I went to Epcot for their fireworks. So they do special displays for 4th of July on the 3rd and the 4th, and both properties do it. So absolutely a blessed time. It was such a good time. And so that was the last trip that I had, and that was about 3 weeks ago. It's currently the end of July now. Got another trip in 3 weeks. I've got a trip in November. We're going for Christmas this year. So we have that in December. I have a cruise at the end of January, and then I'm booking another trip definitely for February, hoping to also hit Food and Wine. And then I also would like to hit Universal again. So I've been to Universal also twice in the last 18 months. So my love for Harry Potter also runs pretty deep, and that's also a new obsession as well. But a very enjoyable one. So I'm super, super looking forward to the new Epic universe that they're doing. That's going to be released sometime next year. And so, anyway, pretty much in a nutshell, that's how your girl became a Disney adult. One trip, and then it just blossomed from there. So, if you vibe with that, if you just want to enjoy a little Disney content when you are stuck at home, come along with me. Let me take you to the parks when I go. Let's enjoy it together. So make sure you subscribe, hit that little bell so you know when I'm going to post next, and come along with me. Let's do it together. So until next time, when you can follow me to the magic.